Elvis Presley had parked his car in the wrong place in Memphis's poor neighborhood. There was no GPS in 1975, and he never liked reading maps. "Where am I?" he thought. Then he heard a sound. Children's voices. They were singing. Gospel. Amazing grace. But the sounds were strange. The piano was playing in wrong tones. The drums couldn't keep rhythm. Elvis walked curiously toward the church. He looked through the window. 12 children, with broken instruments, singing with their whole hearts. And at that moment, Elvis felt something he hadn't felt in years. Real music. That night, he made a decision. These children deserve better instruments than I do. May 14th, 1975, Wednesday evening. Elvis Presley had left Graceland. His purpose was simple, to visit an old friend. But Memphis's streets were complicated, and Elvis took the wrong turn. 10 minutes later, he was completely lost. He looked around. Nothing familiar. The buildings were old. The paint was peeling. The streets were quiet. This was one of Memphis's poorest neighborhoods. Elvis wouldn't normally want to be here. But now he was lost. He pulled his car to the side. "Let me walk and ask someone," he thought. He put on his hat, put on his sunglasses. Nobody should recognize him. As he walked, he examined his surroundings. Children were playing ball in the street. An old woman sat in front of her house smoking. Normal neighborhood life. Poor but peaceful. Then he heard that sound. Children singing. Gospel music. Amazing grace. Elvis stopped. He listened carefully. The sound was coming from a nearby church. Small, old, with peeling paint. The windows were broken, the door was crooked, but the sound coming from inside was beautiful. Elvis walked toward the church. He approached the window and looked inside. Inside were 12 children, ages 8 to 12. In front of them an old piano, a broken drum, a single guitar, and standing in their midst was a middle-aged woman. She must be their teacher. The woman was clapping her hands. "Come on, children, one more time, this time with more feeling." The children started again. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. But the piano was making wrong sounds. Some keys didn't work at all. The drum was cracked, couldn't keep rhythm. The guitar strings were old, out of tune. But the children didn't care. Eyes closed, hearts open, they were singing, as if they were at Carnegie Hall, as if they had the best instruments. Elvis's eyes filled with tears. Seeing this scene reminded him of something. Himself, when he was 10 years old, in Tupelo, with his mother's guitar. That guitar was broken too, but Elvis still played it. "Music isn't in the instrument," his mother Gladys used to say. "Music is in the heart." And these children were doing exactly that, singing with their hearts. The song ended. The woman smiled. "You were wonderful, children. Don't forget to practice for tomorrow." One of the children, a little girl, raised her hand. "Mrs. Peterson, will the new piano come tomorrow?" The woman paused. Her smile weakened. "No, sweetheart, not yet. But don't worry. We can still sing beautifully with our broken piano." Another child asked, "What about the new drum?" "No, not that either." The children's faces fell, but they didn't object. "Okay, Mrs. Peterson," they said. Elvis just stood at the window. Something inside him broke. The children dispersed. Mrs. Peterson was left alone. She started cleaning up the church. The sheet music, the chairs, closing the broken piano's lid. Elvis looked at her. The woman looked tired, but there was a light on her face. A happiness she got from teaching the children. Elvis knocked on the door. Mrs. Peterson looked up, surprised. "Yes, who is it?" Elvis entered. He took off his hat and glasses. "Hello. I'm lost. I wanted to ask for directions." The woman froze. Are you Elvis Presley?" Elvis smiled. "Yes. But please don't tell anyone. I was just passing by and heard the songs." The woman was still in shock. I can't believe it. Elvis Presley here, in my church." "They sing beautifully," Elvis said. "Your children are very talented." "Thank you," the woman said. "They're my everything. They come here every Wednesday evening, learning gospel. They dream of performing on the big stage someday." Elvis looked at the piano. "Your instruments are worn out." The woman's face fell. "Yes, I know. But we don't have money. The church is very poor. Pastor Hayes does what he can, but—" "I understand," Elvis said. He approached the piano. He pressed a few keys. Half of them didn't work. "It must be hard to sing with this piano." "Yes," the woman said, "but I teach the children. Music isn't in the instrument, it's in the heart. If they feel it from within, even a broken piano plays beautifully." Elvis smiled. "My mother used to say the same thing." "Your mother must have been a smart woman." "Yes," Elvis said, his voice softening. "She was." There was a silence. Then Elvis asked, "How many children are in your choir?" 12. "And they all come here, every week?" "Yes. Rain, snow, doesn't matter. They come, because they love music." Elvis nodded. "I understand." He put his hat back on. "Thank you. I should go now." "Of course," the woman said. "And thank you for stopping by." Elvis left through the door. But there was a feeling inside him. A decision was about to be made. Elvis got in his car and drove back to Graceland. But his mind was still on that church, those children, those broken instruments. When he got home, it was 10 p.m. He called his assistant, Joe Esposito. "Joe, can you hear me?" "Yes, Elvis. What happened?" "Tomorrow morning, I want you to do something. Go to a music store. Buy one of the best pianos, one of the best drum sets, guitars, microphones, amplifiers, everything. The best ones." Joe was surprised. "Elvis, are you setting up a new studio?" "No. These aren't for me. They're for a church choir." "A church choir?" "Yes. St. Mary's Church, on the south side of Memphis. There are 12 children. They're singing with broken instruments. I want to buy them new ones." Joe was silent for a moment. Then, "Elvis, that's very generous, but the cost will be high." "I don't care," Elvis said. "Whatever it costs, I'll pay. But I have one condition." "What is it?" "Nobody will know I bought these. It'll be anonymous. Delivery will be made, but my name won't be mentioned. Understood?" "Understood. But why secret?" Elvis paused. "Because this is for them, not for me. I want to see their happiness, not hear my name." Joe smiled. "I understand. I'll handle it tomorrow." 2 days later, Friday morning, a large truck arrived in front of St. Mary's Church. Inside, a brand-new Steinway piano, Yamaha drum set, 6 guitars, 12 microphones, amplifiers, speakers. Pastor William Hayes came out the door. "What's going on?" The driver looked at the paper in his hand. "Is this St. Mary's Church?" "Yes." "Delivery?" "Musical instruments." The pastor was surprised. "But we didn't order anything." "Payment has been made. Anonymous donor." "Who?" "I don't know. Just instructions. Deliver and leave." The pastor was amazed. He ran inside. Margaret, come here." Mrs. Peterson came running. She saw the truck and her mouth fell open. "What? What is this?" "I don't know," said the pastor, "but it's been sent to us." The instruments were moved into the church. The piano was shiny and new. The drums were brand new. The guitars were perfect. When the children arrived that afternoon, they were shocked. They ran inside. "Mrs. Peterson, are these real?" "Yes," the woman said, her eyes teary. "They're real. But who sent them?" "We don't know." One of the children sat at the piano. He pressed the keys. Perfect sound came out. His eyes widened. "It works. Every key works." The other children rushed to the drums, the guitars. Soon the church was filled with music. Real music, with perfect tones. Mrs. Peterson stood in the corner crying. Pastor Hayes came to her. "Margaret, this is a miracle." "Yes," the woman said, "but who did this?" The pastor shook his head. "I don't know, but someone loves these children. Someone believes in them." That evening, Elvis parked his car at the church, a little far away, in the dark. Nobody should see him. Sounds were coming from inside. The children were singing with their new instruments. And this time, it was perfect. The tones were right. The rhythm was in place. But most importantly, the children's happiness could be felt. Elvis approached the window. He looked inside. The children were laughing, dancing, singing. Mrs. Peterson sat at the piano accompanying them. Elvis smiled. He felt warm inside. This was a feeling he hadn't felt in years. Happiness, real happiness. A child asked, "Mrs. Peterson, who do you think sent these?" The woman thought, "I don't know, but I think an angel." "An angel?" "Yes. Sometimes God sends his angels as people. Maybe this was one of those times." Elvis heard this. His eyes filled with tears. "I'm not an angel," he whispered. "Just someone who was once like you." Then he turned and went to the car. Before leaving, he looked at the church one last time. The music from inside could still be heard. "Children," he said quietly, "you are the future of music. And now you have the instruments to do it. You deserve this." August 1975. Elvis was in Memphis again. He heard news on the radio. St. Mary's Church Children's Choir won first place in the state competition. Elvis smiled. "Good job, kids," he said. Joe Esposito came to him. "I heard. That church, isn't that the church you sent instruments to?" "Yes. They won. Magnificent. I'm so happy for them." Joe paused. "Elvis, why haven't you told them yet that you sent the instruments?" Elvis shook his head. "Because that's not what matters. What matters is that they won, that their music is heard. Knowing my name doesn't change anything. But they'd be grateful. They already are grateful. To music, to their teacher, to each other. That's enough." Joe smiled. "You're a good man, Elvis. Just someone doing the right thing." August 1977. Elvis died. The world was shocked. Millions of people cried. In Memphis, thousands of people gathered in front of Graceland. At St. Mary's Church, Mrs. Peterson told the children the news. "Children, Elvis Presley died." The children were silent. They were sad, but they hadn't fully grasped the meaning. Then a child asked, "Mrs. Peterson, do you think he was the angel, the one who sent the instruments?" The woman paused. "What do you mean?" "The instruments came in 1975, and Elvis Presley was in Memphis then. Maybe it was him," the woman thought. She'd never thought of it that way, but it made sense. Elvis was a known philanthropist. He made secret donations. "I don't know," the woman said, "but if it was him, we're grateful to him." That evening, the choir gathered, and they sang a song for Elvis. "Amazing Grace," the same song they were singing when Elvis first heard them, and this time, with perfect instruments, perfect tones. They sang from their hearts. 35 years later, Joe Esposito gave an interview in a documentary called Elvis's Unknown Kindnesses. "In 1975, Joe said, Elvis sent instruments to a church choir. Anonymously, St. Mary's Church, Memphis. The children still don't know. The documentary aired. Mrs. Peterson, now 78 years old, watched. She cried. "It was him," she said. "The angel was him." The church hung a plaque in Elvis's memory. It read, "In memory of Elvis Presley. In 1975, he donated musical instruments to this church. He made our children's dreams real, forever grateful." And every year, on May 14th, the choir sings a song for Elvis. Amazing Grace. Because that's the song where it all started. The song Elvis heard them singing. And the song they remember Elvis by. Today, St. Mary's Church is still open. The children's choir still exists. And those pianos, drums, guitars are still being used. Even 50 years later. "We don't replace them," says the current teacher, "because these aren't just instruments. These are Elvis's legacy, his faith in children, the power of music." And every time a new child comes, they're told the story. The night Elvis Presley parked in the wrong place. The moment he looked through the window. And the story of how his heart broke. But then he fixed it. Music, they tell the children, isn't in the instrument, it's in the heart. But good instruments make the heart sound more beautiful. Elvis knew this, and he reminded us. How many children came out of that church? Hundreds. Some became musicians, some became teachers, some became doctors. But they all remember one thing. One night, a man got lost. And by getting lost, he found their way. That man was Elvis Presley. And what he did wasn't just give instruments. It was give hope, give faith, say, "You deserve this." Elvis Presley sang for millions, but that night, he did something more for 12 children. He showed them that music isn't just for listening, it's for living, for sharing, and for loving. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Share this video with someone who believes in the power of music. Tell us in the comments, who changed your life? And don't forget to turn on notifications, because more amazing true stories are coming.